Hello, everyone. This is Doug Davis, broker in charge with Crombie Realty, another session of Ask Doug. So today's question is about appraisals in a rising market. So what do you need to know about this as a buyer or as a seller uh, when the market's going up and the appraisals come in lower and your buyer falls out because they don't have the extra money? What can you do to mitigate the difference on past sale prices, which were lower than what's happening now? So first of all, we need to know about the appraisal process and how they do their job and how they collect their information to make their estimation of value. So briefly, what they do is they look for homes that are as similar as possible. So that would be similar in square footage and land area and perhaps view or no view. If it's in the same building, they want to stay in the same building and not go to somewhere down the street in another tower. That makes it, how do you adjust for that? And you want to try to get away from adjustments. So for example, if you're up on St. Louis or Wilhelmina Rise or Waialainui Ridgeline and you don't have a view versus have a view, how many dollars would you put on for a view? You drive all the way up the mountain, but you don't have a view. There's a lot of homes like that. And some are spectacular views. How do you value that? So it's pretty arbitrary. So you really want to try to get homes that are the same or condos that are the same and looking in the same direction. But that's not always possible. And then what do you do about the sales? The sales are historically lower because they're older and the market's rising. So you can't use escrows, but they're higher and you know they're going to record at a higher value, but you can't use them because they haven't closed. They can't use those. And what about the listings? Listings are all higher because the market's going up. So the sellers want to get the market value, which is higher, but the appraisers can't use that either. But they can see the trend and hopefully they will err in the direction of more money to take into account. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a buyer seller point of view, a seller point of view, a buyer point of view, and a banker point of view to explain the rest of this process. So, buyers and sellers can help each other because it's a mutual thing to close and get to the finish line. So the buyers, the sellers, and their agents can get together and find the best comps, help the appraiser, and they do take help. If you can find perhaps in a non-MLS sale, a private sale of a home that's very similar, probably the appraiser would never find that. So that would be a good thing. Or maybe as a seller, you know there's another architect that built a home similar to yours nearby, and same kind of architecture. That would be perhaps a good comparable. The appraiser probably wouldn't know where all a particular architect would have built homes, so that would be a good thing to point out. And generally, the appraisal process is for homes within basically a 3-mile radius. Closer, the better. And for buildings, they like to use the same building if you can. Otherwise, they have to go somewhere down the street, and there's that arbitrary value difference that they have to adjust for, up or down. So helping getting good comps is very important. Also, meeting the appraiser, opening the door, turning on the lights, making the house look great, sweeping, brushing, raking, all of that stuff just like for the buyers, you want to have it first impressions as a good one. And then, the appraiser won't know your list of upgrades, the new wiring, new plumbing, new appliances, new roof. They won't know all of that. So if you give them a list, that would be very helpful to them. Okay. As for a seller, if you have areas that you have had built additions without a permit, the appraiser won't be able to use those areas. So if you built a wing of the home and it's not permitted, it's actually pretty common, but you cannot use that. The appraiser won't use that square footage. So you'll have a smaller house and they'll adjust off your extra square footage. Even though it's there, they won't count it. Also, for a seller, if you have any structural damage, like maybe a termite-eaten beam underneath the house, and the appraiser notes that, then you're going to get into delays while that beam gets replaced, repaired, supported, sistered, and then have a contractor letter that states that it's in good shape again, and then so you could have all sorts of delays. So seller, you want to get everything ready to go. And then what about the buyer? Well, the buyer wants to buy your home, but they might have cash issues. The appraisal may come in lower and they'll have to make up the difference. So let me explain how they do the lending from the bank's point of view. Let's say we're buying a home for $1 million. You're going to do an 80% loan, 20% cash down payment. Okay, so this is the way the bank does it. They will take the sale price, but if the appraisal comes in, say at $900,000, they will loan on whichever value comes in lower. So if your appraisal comes in at 900, but buyer and seller agreed to $1 million, they're going to loan 80% on the 900. So your 20% down has just increased. The buyer needs to make up the difference to their agreed upon $1 million sale price. If the buyer doesn't have it, then the sale falls through, or maybe you renegotiate. Maybe they go to Bank of Mom and get extra cash. All kinds of ways to deal with that, but maybe it won't happen. Okay, so when you have a multiple offer situation and a seller is evaluating a handful of offers, well, they might be tempted to go with a cash offer that doesn't have any of these issues or risks with lower appraisal. But if they have the time, if a seller has time, they might go for a higher offer and just wait out the process. And if it doesn't work, then sell it again. And the market's still going up and the market is strong, maybe they'll get more money second time around. So it's what might happen in a situation like that. So, okay, hopefully that's helpful on understanding the process of the appraiser, what they have to do and what a buyer thinks and what a seller thinks, and how the bank will progress with this process. All right, that's it, and hope that was helpful little tidbit for you. And again, if you have any questions, love to hear from you and see what you might have as questions so I can answer. And have a great week, everyone. Aloha.